Welcome to Dr. Cush's Exotic Drinks. I'm, of course, Dr. Cush, along with my barback Kyle. I'm not a real doctor, but I did spend almost 2 decades running some of LA's best bars. After years of teaching classes and training bartenders, I want to demystify the cocktail world for you. Let's try a few new things as I open up my bar to everybody. Belly up, chat, and let's have a drink. Welcome, everybody, to Dr. Cush's Exotic... Yeah, that's what I wanted. I wanted to wake him up with a little boink. Welcome, everybody, to Dr. Cush's Exotic Drinks. I am Dr. Cush. We are here on a Saturday to do Saturday things. We are going to do a bit of a deep dive into... Listen to this. Not my favorite ingredient. Normally, when somebody puts ginger on a recipe or on a cocktail menu, I am, let's say, bored. No thank you. I'm okay. Beer, something. I'll have something else. However, it is an important ingredient. So we are going to be integrating some ginger into our cocktails in kind of a new, we're not using ginger syrup, we're not using ginger beer. We're just gonna use fresh ginger to use ginger as it was originally used as sort of a medicinal bit, some sort of bittering agent, something that sort of counteracted the booze, and the sweet finds its way into a lot of great cocktails. So that's what we're doing today. Hopefully you guys are fans of ginger. Hopefully by the end of this, I will also, I will apologize to Big Ginger for all of the guff I have given ginger over my many years as a bartender. Let me say hello to the people before we get started. Good evening, Shawnee P, good to see you. Moose is here. Those are the two. If you're hoping that everybody gets a long intro like that, you're gonna be disappointed. Everybody else, normal intro. Just these two knuckleheads. They get the good evening and the moose, and after that, Tiki Court. Hello, Tiki Court. Salutations, and as always, hi. How are you? DCW Clark, winner of the 2023 Cush Tucky Derby, is in the house. Kyle Tender, letting you know it is Saturday. Kyle, my living calendar, doing all the right stuff, keeps my dates, and continuously reminds me what day it is. Right here. The only time I know what day it is through all of these little chats. The UF Mark, our resident Gator, is here watching a bit of college football myself. My game was supposed to be done, but Indiana decided that's not going to happen. We're going to throw some thunderstorm at these poor Trojans, and now they look like garbage. Enchanting Innovations, that is Matt, who created Ernie. Good to see you, Matt. He's watching over on what do you call it? Instagram. Paul Bellamaro. Wow, is bourbon on the ingredients tonight? Yes, it is. We're using some bourbon tonight. So get ready for that. Be prepared. It's gonna happen. So calm down. Game is a nail biter too. Which one are you watching there? UFO. The imagine the Florida game. I'm not watching that one. I only have bandwidth for one team that breaks my heart constantly, and that is the USC Trojans. Okay, ginger. Ginger shows up in cocktails. It shows up a lot in cocktails. It sort of comes and goes. However, it's kind of like, let's put it like this. Everybody know the Beatles? Everybody heard of this band? It's kind of a fad there for a little bit. They had a drummer before Ringo. Before Ringo Starr, Richard Starkey, I believe his first name was. They had another guy. His name was Peter, I believe. Pete Best. And Pete Best started with the Beatles and then decided, I'm good. Figure something else out. So he did. He left. He left the band. Beatles went on to be huge sensations, etc., etc. You can think of ginger as the Pete Best of cocktails. Ginger was there right at the beginning. In fact, and let's get into it, might as well start now, the history of the cocktail, the history of the name of the cocktail actually comes from ginger. Comes from the name ginger. You used to be able to call something a cocktail or a ginger. To ginger a horse. Ginger, if you ever been a psychopath and just bit right into a big old thing of ginger, you know, it's got some spice to it, folks. Whew. Got some spice. And that spice is what would make some horses sort of cock their tail up. Whoa, the horse would say. Well, if you ginger a drink, it means that you are adding the spices to it. Now, that was more of an English thing. The cocktail is an American invention. However, there was some travel. You know, people going back and forth. So there was a little bit of this, a little bit of that. People would end up in England. They would ginger a cocktail. And they would come over to the United States and they would bitter a cocktail. They would bitter a cocktail. And that is how we ended up. That's how we ended up with the term cocktail. Comes from ginger, maybe. Nobody really knows. David Wondrich is a little iffy on that. So, what are we doing today? Well, one thing I feel like we need to do more of on this little experiment that I'm all about, this show, is long-term projects. We're a live show. You guys show up with me every week, sometimes 3 times a week. We try to do 3 times a week. Some of you guys show up 3 times a week. So I think long-term projects are going to help us. So if you are interested to make a ginger bug along with me, it takes about a week, all right? Good news is I'll be back here in a week. So we will be watching the ginger bug as it grows. If you are interested, we will be taking those we'll be taking our ginger bug, which is like a sourdough starter for ginger ale, for all kinds of sparkly sodas. We're going to be using some of those sparkly sodas in some cocktails coming up in the future. So if you want to be able to make those cocktails right along with me, you're going to start your ginger bug tonight with me. We will all begin our ginger bug. Then we're going to be making 2 classic cocktails that normally, one of them normally calls for ginger syrup. We're saying, screw that. We didn't make our ginger syrup this week, but we still want this cocktail. We're going to make the cocktail with fresh ginger. Then, if anybody's still around at that point, this could be like 45, 50 minutes into the show. Then we're going to take a classic cocktail formula and we are going to ginger it. All right, we're going to take, instead of adding any kind of bitters, we're going to ginger our cocktail. So that's what we got. The hashtag gingerbug flying all over X right now. Thank you so much for that, Kyle, for starting that whole rally. Roger, good to see you, pal. Seem to have caught back up on the schedule. Thank you for being here. I will never forget. Let me just put it. I will never forget when a bartender buddy down here in Venice made an original cocktail with a little too much ginger that scorched my tongue. Easy with that ginger. That's exactly right. Ginger is absolutely it's an invasive ingredient. Sometimes why I don't like ginger in cocktails is because you can make a very crappy cocktail and just throw ginger on it. Same reason I don't like IPA beer. IPA beer is, should we rant a second? IPA beer is the easiest beer that you can make. It's so ridiculously dumb. If you make a beer in your house, I have all of my beer making stuff up here. We probably should do a beer making show at some point. And you screw it up. You don't get all of your yeast right. The temperature fluctuation goes all over the place and the yeast get little tummy aches. Same way that humans get tummy aches. If they get tummy aches and they spit out, they out a little bit of that bad ethanol, you can get off flavors in your beer. Lager beers, even though they seem very easy to make, are the most difficult to make. It takes constant temperature. It's got to be nice and low temperature, and it is hard to get those yeasts going. IPA, on the other hand, if you take any beer and you screw it up, you're making like an English brown, or you're making a some sort of ale, whatever you got, and you're like, oh god, this tastes awful. What is the solution? Take an awful lot of hops, throw it in, steep those hops up, and now you are stuck with an IPA. Probably tastes fine because it only tastes like hops. Disgusting. Lager is like the vanilla of flavors. Yes, it is a little less exciting. All right, I get that we're all kind of over vanilla. Vanilla is boring. However, very difficult, very expensive to make. Same thing with lagers. Shawnee P. Oh, sorry. DCW Clark says that IPA is awful. Seriously, I also do not like IPAs. And Shawnee P agrees. Who knew this was a sleeper beer stream all along? Yeah, we could honestly, serious thoughts a little while ago about opening up Cushman Brewery. I was Very close. This right here, this is about as boring as you get. This is water. Just regular old water from a bottle, nice and filtered water. You'll notice I put it right up to the 2-cup mark. This is going to be our ginger bug. If you've ever made kombucha, you've ever made sour mash. I doubt any of you have ever made sour mash, but maybe you have. Maybe some of you have. If you ever made sourdough bread, you know that in order to get these things going, you need a starter. This is ginger starter that we're creating. So let's get into it. It's fairly simple. And once you have the starter, then we can add it into other mixes, other waters and juices and sugar mixes, and we can give it all of those bubbles. So it's not the same thing as making, it's not the same thing as taking a soda or something that you're doing and carbonating it, force carbonate it by shoving CO2 and having the carbonic acid mix with all of the water and then bubble up and make it carbonated. This is going to be a native carbonation. Is that the correct word for it? Not a clue. We're calling it native carbonation. We're going to get the carbonation from the wild yeasts and their little farts, and we're going to collect all that, and there we go. So this is 2 cups of some filtered water. What else are you going to need? You're going to need sugar, all right? Get some sugar on you. And you're also going to need one of these. This is a bandana. It's my purple bandana. We're going to be using that there. Bandana. Or I like bandanas just because I always have extra bandanas. You know, my gang years, we always dress just in bandanas. If you don't have something like that, just like a kitchen towel, something that you don't mind, something that's nice and clean would be really good. Something that hasn't been on somebody's head. You are also going to need, now look at this. How awesome is this? This right here is ginger. We're going to go ahead and rip a piece of this ginger off. This ginger on the outside has a skin. Right there, look at that. Look at all that skin on there. That skin is going to contain some wild yeast. The inside's probably going to have some yeast in it too, but the skin is important for making a ginger bug. So you want to keep the skin on of your ginger bug. All right, so let's begin by beginning. We're going to go over here and we're going to take, oh, there it is. We're going to take our favorite knife, our Victorinox knife that we have had. I think I've had this now for 12 years. We're going to go ahead and just give this a little slice. We want about a thumb size of ginger. We don't, listen to me now and hear me later, we do not want to overfeed our ginger bug. If our ginger bug gets too fat, then it's going to get lazy. And if it's lazy, it's not going to bubble. We need bubbles, all right? We need bubbles. It's more threatening when I'm doing it. If I'm threatening you from here, it's no good. If I'm threatening you right here, oof, terrifying. Everybody duck. Figure out a way to do this show in 3D at some point, so then I can just turn to you and just. We won't do that. Okay, we want to cut this into little bitty pieces. We're not like filleting this thing. We don't want it to be super skinny, but we do want to have these little itty bitty pieces. We want to have, there we go. Let me show you an example of a good piece. This right here is an example of a good piece. This is a normal human thumb. Right here, pretty normal. And this is right on top of that normal human thumb. That is a thumbnail. This is about the size of the ginger we want, right? So from all sides, it's just a normal human thumbnail right there. We want it to be about that size. Yes, Yost is wondering if that is normal. I've gone to the doctor 4 or 5 times. Every time I'm in there, I always ask him, do these thumbs look normal to you? And he always says, get out. You don't have an appointment. You can't just sit around my office all day playing on your Nintendo Switch and then ask me about your thumbs. It's not the way that doctors' offices work. Go ahead and chop these guys up. So we have little normal, very normal, completely regular thumbnail size pieces of ginger. What we're really looking for is about a tablespoon of this. Let's cut this one too. This is an important one. This has all the skin on it, so we want to get that one all nice and cut there. Look at that. Okay. Then, very simple. Very, very simple. I'm going to throw this in here. Look. I mean, you guys are the ones that just, you know, you tune into a show where I put one thing into another thing constantly. So hopefully that was exciting for all of you guys. That is what we got. Some of them float, some of them sink. That is all right with me. Then we want to get some sugar. What kind of sugar? Lots of different kinds of sugars. I would avoid, if you can, getting those like white granulated sugar. You're looking for something organic. That organic sugar, oh, thank you, UF Mark. UF Mark does, I know that UF Mark is a bit of a putting one thing into another thing fanatic. Really like seeing one thing going to another thing, so you're welcome. Some sugar. You notice this sugar is just a little darker. This is organic granulated sugar. Other types of sugar that would absolutely work in here, something like a Demerara or a Turbinado or a anything. Definitely no powdered sugar. That has all, that's not just powdered because it's all crushed up. That has chemicals in it. We don't want these yeasts giving us bad chemical farts, all right? We want normal yeast farts that we will then drink. That's what we're looking for. But look for something organic. The organicness, I don't believe that organic is a, I don't think that you can, like, I think you can call anything organic. I don't think that there's, maybe I'm wrong. But just look for the word organic. That usually means they put a little extra time into it. We're gonna go ahead and put in 1 tablespoon of sugar. We're really just gonna sort of guess at what a tablespoon is. There we go. There we go. Okay, now, nothing's happening. That's okay. We have 7 days. We have 7 days. Every day, whilst this is just sitting somewhere, I will probably, let me say hello to Bootopia, who is back. I thought maybe Bootopia wasn't here, but now he's back. Every day for 7 days, we are going to be checking on this and, get this, feeding it. Feeding it, all right? We want to put in more ginger and more sugar. You thought that this was a ridiculous amount of ginger. It is kind of a ridiculous amount of ginger to have. But by the end of this, it will look slightly less ridiculous because we will have used more of it. We want to put in about 2 tablespoons, 2 teaspoons. So a little bit less than what we put in that first day. We want to put in that amount every single day at the same time. Lucky for me, I start a show that starts at 6. So if you start it now, or if you start it right after the show, just know that right after the show, you got to check on your little guy. I'll put up little announcements on the thing. If you're made a ginger bug, check your ginger bug, feed your ginger bug. The idea now is that the yeasts inside of this ginger are going to start chomping on all of that ginger, and then we're going to start to get bubbles. So if you take one of these guys and put it on here, what's going to happen? Well, all this space that seems negative is not negative space, my friends. This is air. If you start putting more air into this, you're going to have an explosion. If you want to go down a really weird little rabbit hole, I would suggest looking on YouTube for ginger bug explosions. I'm sure that they're on there. So instead of putting a top on, I'm going to take one little rubber band. We're going to put this right here on top, and we are going to close that up. That way, we have no flies getting in here. We have no gnats, no flying praying mantises. We had one of those around the yard the other day, scared Kyle half to death. It was kind of a funny scene. I really wish I would have taken my phone out and recorded it. The praying mantis just chased Kyle for about 20 minutes. This praying mantis really, I don't think it was doing it maliciously. I think it saw Kyle as a potential mate. He wanted to mate with Kyle and then bite Kyle's head off. That was my thought on it. But anyway, no praying mantises, manti? Praying maybe it's Greek. Praying mantus. We'll be able to get in here, and we should be good. All right, now, that is a ginger bug. Yes, DCW Clark thinks that maybe Kyle and the praying mantis would make a good little pairing. Okay, now let's figure out what to do with this. We figured it out. We're good. We're done. How's that? So I'm going to check on it tomorrow, and we are going to be back here at Dr. Cush's Exotic Drinks on Monday. All right, so Monday show this week for that. So we will check back on our ginger bug on Monday, and we will feed it then. I'll feed it tomorrow and the next day, but set your alarms for 6:25 when we have done this thing. And now we have a ginger bug, and hopefully in the very near future, we will have ginger ale from natural carbonization. Oh, that's a good point. Kyle wants to know what the ginger bug's name is. I'm going to let you guys name it. You guys did such a good job with Ernie. If you guys have a name for the ginger bug, please go ahead and name it. We have our SCOBY, our kombucha SCOBY, of course, named Scoby-Wan Kenobi. And you guys have done a good job of naming. So name it away. All right, let's get into it. Now we have our ginger bug. Now we're going to go make some ginger cocktails. This is Ginger. Remember this guy from just a second ago? Sammy Ross, one of the greatest living bartenders, came out of Milk and Honey, you know, blah, 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 runs Attaboy, et cetera, et cetera. He is he's a modern cocktail creating machine. One of the cocktails that he created was a cocktail called the Penicillin. It is a spectacular cocktail. He, excuse me, he makes a ginger and honey syrup. Stuff is delicious. I've had it live. It was really, really good. He's very talented at what he does. But I don't make a single person bar. Kyle comes in here every once in a while. Jen will come in here when Kyle isn't in here. They don't like to be at the bar at the same time. He makes a great ginger and honey syrup. I'm not going to make that many penicillins. I don't have a bar of people coming in all the time. So if I have some honey and I have some ginger, can we make that same drink, but make it what do we call this? Bespoke. That's a good cocktail word. Bespoke. Can we make it bespoke? Can we make it right here in front of us? I think we can. So let's begin our ginger cocktail making. Our ginger weapon of choice is this. Oh, this should be named Ringo, because I already forgot the other guy's name. That's a pretty good one. The other guy's name was Pete Best. So you guys decide whether or not you want to name the ginger bug Ringo or Pete Best. I think Ringo's a good name. All right, Ringo. All right, we'll call Ringo. Great. So Ringo, which is our ginger bug over here, ready to go. Now, remember a moment ago when Paul was talking and he said he had this bartender make him a fresh ginger cocktail and it blew his little pants off. No buenos. We don't want to go overboard on this. So we're going to go ahead and just take a little bit of this, and we're going to take our ginger weapon. The best way to peel ginger, I learned about this on this show. My friend Bon Bon told me all about it, is with the blunt side of a spoon. We're just going to get right under here, and we're going to start to peel. We don't want the peels going in here. Peels are no fun in a cocktail. The ginger should... it's not going to disappear, but if you swallow a little bit of ginger, you'll be okay. If you swallow peel, you will, it'll stop your enjoyment for a moment. You'll say, "Ooh, too much. I don't care for all that peel in there. Thank you. I'm leaving." All right, let's get all this off of here. Just nice and easy. That spoon method has really sort of changed my life, and we're not losing a lot of ginger there either. So we're in a really good spot. Now there is a bit of a dead area to this piece of ginger. I think this ginger's been sitting in the kitchen for longer than I wanted it to be. So we're just gonna slice this guy off. We don't want any of that. Oh, it was deeper. There we go. A little brown spot in there. Oh, it kind of looks like a, never mind. Okay, and then we want to give this a chop. When we're throwing ginger into a cocktail, without making it into a cocktail syrup, we want it to be larger pieces. All right, we want to treat this as if, oh, Kyle saw it too. Kyle, you pervert. Oh. We want it to be larger pieces. We want this to have bigger slices. We want to keep all of that ginger from becoming super masticated, super broken down. We don't want a lot of huge, or we don't want a lot of little pieces that can get through our secondary strainer. So we're gonna go ahead and slice this into like thicker, longer strips, because we're gonna be muddling this. Does anybody want to look at it one more time before I get rid of it? There we go. Disgusting. All right, there we go. There's 4 little strips right there. That, to me, seems like a good time for ginger. The whole bar currently smells of ginger. We're okay with that. Now, let's get into it. So this is a great cocktail by our friend Sammy. Throw this here. Found it. All right, great cocktail by our friend Sammy. We're gonna throw our ginger into our empty cup right there. And then we want to extract all of that flavor. Couple ways you can do that. You can, put it in a blender. That'll extract it, but that'll also masticate it to hell. We instead are going to take a little bit of our citrus juice. We have pseudo lemon juice here. The citrus does a really good job of 2 different things. One thing that it does is it will have a place for the ginger flavor to transfer into. Right? It's a liquid. The liquid from the ginger is going to transfer into the liquid of the lime, and will be good that way. The other thing it does is all of that citric acid is going to start to break down the flavors of that ginger. It's going to get inside, and it's going to sort of just rip apart all the little pieces that are holding that ginger together. So we're going to go ahead and put in 3/4 of an ounce of some pseudo lemon juice right there. And then the same way that we would masticate our mint that we don't want to get into our teeth is going to be the same way we're going to masticate, or that we're going to muddle our ginger. Since I'm holding it and I'm talking about it, don't forget to muddle that like button. We were on a really big streak of a lot of likes for our content, and I will tell you that when you guys like the content, I got more views. So if you muddle that like button, it certainly helps. Then I gave a speech yesterday where I talked about like, hey, this is all about community, and I don't care what your whatever your thoughts are, but you can always come to the bar because it's a great place. And we lost 5 subscribers. That's how that works. And also not a lot of likes on that one. So make sure if you have your muddler, let's go up here. Go ahead and muddle that like button. Terrifying. Okay, so we want to grab the muddler, not here like we are Psycho and we are killing our. I don't want to. Should I ruin the movie Psycho? No, I won't ruin it. It's kind of an old movie, but don't ruin it. We're going to instead grab it up here, and we are just going to go in and spin a little bit from the top. All we want to do is let that lemon do its job pulling out the flavors of the ginger, but also we're helping it out by just putting a little pressure on it, squeezing some of it out. We will know that we have finished with this when we put it up to our little faces and it smells like ginger. It's almost there. Nice, easy bits. Now, I accidentally went a little too hard there for a second. Yes, that's a good point, Shawnee. Sounds like they weren't community then. I think some people really, really like... how did you find the ginger emoji there, UF Mark? Is that just ready to go? I think we need to sit down as a species, really talk about how we're spending our time. We needed a ginger emoji, I guess so. I accidentally pushed a little too hard, so I broke one of them in half, which is not ideal, but not the worst thing. We just want to get that going here. Should we bring in the overhead cam? You guys can see sort of what I'm up to. There we go. That ginger still pretty intact in there. Bring over the one of these guys. Flashlight. There we go. Oh yeah, look at that. Oh, much better. This is what this looks like right now. There we go. Get that in there. Starting to smell that ginger pretty good. There we go. Now, is it easier? Is it easier to make this from a ginger syrup? Yeah. Yes, it is. Oh boy, is it ever. Much easier to make a ginger syrup and have ginger syrup ready to go. But for small bars, which I assume most of you are running, it is going to be very annoying to have a bunch of ginger syrup around. Ginger syrup just doesn't get used in a lot of stuff. Whoa. That'll get you. Yeah. UF Mark, it is an incredible time to be alive. If you're an emoji fan. If you're an emoji fan, there is no better time to be alive than this. Oh, hey, Bon, watching some Hawaiian dancers, watching now the show. We'll do hulas in between. So you got that. Okay, got to sweeten this up. We have some spice in here. So we learned earlier that ginger and bitters used to be somewhat interchangeable. You could, when you bittered a drink, you were making it a cocktail, or when you gingered a drink, you were making a cocktail. So we got that spice. We also have the sour in there. We need to follow Sammy's vision and go ahead and throw in our honey. This is runny honey. Runny honey, I always make in very, very small batches because once you add water to honey, it will start to go bad. If you want to fortify it, you can do that. Add a little bit of Everclear, a little bit of vodka to it, you'll be good. However, it's just so easy to have honey, which never goes bad, and then just add it with water, and you should be good. We need 3/4 of an ounce of 2-to-1 honey syrup. There we go. All right. Are you asking me if I'm on track with my Halloween costume? I have a few ideas written down, and I think we're good. Paul is asking, what about substituting ginger liqueur? Yeah, if you have some Canton or another ginger liqueur, this would be great. I would, because ginger liqueur, Paul, remember, is a liqueur, which just means a liquor with sugar in it. You're going to have to bring back some of that honey. So some of your sweetness is now going to come from your ginger. Some of your sweetness is going to come from your honey. Since none of our sweetness in this one is coming from our honey, then we can add the full amount of honey. If you are gingering your liquor, if you're gingering your honey, and you are making a ginger honey syrup, 3/4 of an ounce is great. So you might run into a bit of an issue with sweetness. So just try a few things. All right. When I met Sammy Ross, I asked him. This is like one of the 3 questions I asked him. What Scotch do you use for the penicillin? What Scotch do you use? He looked me dead in my eyes. He stared deep into him. I heard that song about the animals in the arms of a stranger just playing while we were doing it. The room spun. It was a magical moment. And he said, Compass Box. I said, what? What were we talking about? He said, Compass Box. That's the Scotch I use. I said, oh, I have that. Oh boy, I have it. So we're going to be using some Compass Box. This is a blended Scotch. This is the Hedonism. It says Compass Box right here. Tough to see there. A little dusty at this point. Oh, good. Hate for Honor says, cheap viewers on streambo.com. Thanks, Hate for Honor. Batopia can't get Compass Box. Find a blended Scotch. Any kind of blended Scotch, all right? This does not need to be an expensive drink. You don't need to find a single malt that you only bring out when the good company comes over. Just find a blended Scotch. Now, Hedonism is a pretty good little blended Scotch. Just because a Scotch is blended doesn't make it worse than a single malt, right? Single malt is more or less just distillers showing off how good their initial product is. If they don't have a great initial product, and some of them don't, then they will blend their products with other stuff to make it better. So you can add other scotches to make your scotch a little bit better. That's absolutely how that works. So don't worry about the blended Scotch versus the single malt Scotch. Yes, for the most part, single malt Scotches are better, but there are blended Scotches that are better than a lot of single malt Scotches. For this one, a single or a blended is going to do you well because it's a cocktail. So you're not really looking for all of the... you're not looking for all the nuance, right? Not a lot of nuance going on. So put that there. Also, don't just pick any Scotch. You want Scotch. Oh, viewers on the UF Mark over here. UF Mark found us over on Twitch, I guess. Hey, good to see you twice. Okay, this is where you want your Scotch from. All right, just imagine that. Imagine that this is what Scotland looks like. It doesn't. All right, it does not look like this at all. But if you think of the fingers and the palm as two different things, these are the lowlands. These are the highlands. All right. Right here, most Scotch comes from the Highlands. Almost no Scotch comes from the lowlands. There's a few of them, and I love lowland Scotches. They aren't super peaty. Oh, he's sending me people. Thank you. Oh, I see what he's doing. Thanks, UF Mark. The Highlands and the Lowlands, and then over here you have Campbelltown. Down here you have the Islas. Up here you have the Islands. Right? This is where the islands are, but these are the Islas. But the most important part is this guy right here. In between the pinky and the ring finger, you have something called the Spey River. The Spey River. That is where an awful lot of Scotches come from. They are Highland Scotches, but they are Spey side Scotches because they're on the side of the Spey River. That's where you get things like Macallan, Fiddick, Livet. That's where you get all of those big Scotches, and there's a reason, because it's a great Scotch growing region. It's just like the weather is just really nice, and the land is fertile, etc., etc. So what you're looking for is something from the Highlands, not the Islands, not the Islas, not Campbelltown, and not anything down here. All right, we're looking for a Highland whiskey or a Highland Scotch, most likely from the Spey River. They have a pretty, the characteristic is what we're looking for. We want something that isn't super peaty, isn't super smoky, doesn't taste like bandages, is a Scotch. So it's a malted Scotch. That's what we're looking for. So we're looking for that. Oh, what's up, Scotty boy? Good to see you. Hey. All right, we got that. That's what's going into here. That's the cocktail. So let's begin by throwing in a cocktail glass. Uh-oh. 1 second. Oh, I got one all the way back here. We're going to throw a cocktail glass into the freezer because we've... Oh, you know what? We're going to put it low. Get rid of that freezer garbage. But let's get some ice anyway. We're going to take a little piece of ice right there. And we're going to shake this guy with a small piece of ice right there. Here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Nice and easy. Nice and easy. We're not going hard on this. That ice is going to start to break up those little pieces of ginger. We don't want that, but it is going to help us bring out a little bit more of the ginger flavor in here, but we don't want small, teeny, tiny pieces. If you do it with ginger honey and the emulsifier that is honey, you can give it a really big shake, then you'll get a nice foam on it, and you'll be in a good spot. Because we have the ginger in here, we have to shake just a little differently than we normally would. Let's grab a strainer, and we're going to go ahead and, here we go. We're going to double strain this. Yes. Shake the ginger. Monkey shoulder. Monkey shoulder is a great version of Scotch to use in this. Duncan Taylor blended Scotch. Yes, that's also a very good one. Literally, if it says blended on it, you're in a good spot. Don't look for Islays, though. We're going to pour this out. Now, hopefully we don't get a lot of pieces of ginger going in through here. We didn't. Excellent. There we go. All right, that is our cocktail. Now, let's put this away because we'll need this in just a moment. Boop. This is our cocktail. This is what we want. You can see that the emulsification from the honey is giving us just a little bit of foam on top of it. Anytime we call out something as an emulsifier, then it's going to give us that little foam. If we've shaken it correctly, it'll be nice and big like that. I do want to use that same piece of ice because I did not check my ice stores before we started on what kind of ice I had, and I only have 2 pieces left, and I need 1 more. So we're going to take this little piece of ice. We're going to drop it right in there. Perfect. Now, what made this drink from just sort of a ginger sour into the penicillin is the medicine-y taste. Now, how do we get that medicine-y taste going out of here? Well, I have this guy right here. This is a little spray bottle that I call Peat Smoke. In here, I have Ardbeg. Ardbeg is a very interesting Scotch. It comes right down here, right? It comes from the Islas. It comes from the Islas. Now, what's great about the Islas is they are islands and they are full of water. That water means that you can grow a lot of moss around. So there's this native to Scotland sort of stuff. I don't know, it may be everywhere, but it's definitely in Scotland, called peat. Peat is a big old moss, just a big burnable moss. And in order to malt all of the barley that they use to make Scotch, they would dry it out by lighting big fires of peat, because it naturally occurs. It's easy to go. It burns slowly because it's full of so much water. The problem with it is, and maybe it's not a problem for some people, but for some people it is it smells. It really, really smells. I've heard people describe it as bandages. I've heard people describe it as it smells a little bit like dirt. This is a completely different one. Antiseptic, all of that. It smells like all of that stuff. It is a desirable flavor for some. Some people hate it. Same thing with like champagne bubbles. Champagne bubbles were made by bad winemakers, and then somebody said, "Oh, I kind of like the bubbles in there." And they said, "Yeah, we meant to do that. Absolutely, we meant to do that. Don't worry about it." So we're gonna take our little peat sprayer, and we're just gonna go ahead and spray a little peat. Do you think 3 sprays is good? Because otherwise we're going to have to sit and watch me do this. Oh, there it goes. Oh, here it goes. Here we go. Shouldn't add much to the flavor. The flavor is going to be ginger, honey, lemon, and Scotch. Shouldn't add a lot to the flavor. It should instead just add something to the aroma. It should smell like you have just cleaned a wound. All right, that's what the penicillin is. The reason that I'm sure one of the reasons is called penicillin is because it tastes incredibly medicinal. I'll give it to you there, Bootopia. I know what he's looking for. Let's bring this up, and gosh, where is it? I think it's exclamations. No, maybe it's drinking. Oh yeah, there's okay. So what we're basically doing for that is we're waiting on it. I'm gonna restart this. Drinking. Nope. Voice mod's not working. So it's a floater. There we go. So that's what we have. It's a nice spray. Sammy puts on some candied ginger. I thought about doing this show a little too late to make candied ginger, so we're going to skip the candied ginger. Just use the peat as our garnish. And here we go. So give this a little smell and a taste. Yeah, that's ginger is certainly there. It is here for just this cocktail. We don't now have a bunch of extra ginger syrup sitting around. Tasting the ginger, tasting that honey, the lemon, the Scotch, smelling that peat. That's all we want. Always use peat as a garnish. I just want to let Kyle know this is how you spell it. Oh, this is how you spell it. P-E-A-T. It's not named after a dude named Peter. It is Pete. P-E-A-T. It's a great cocktail. And you know what else I like about this cocktail? Both Kyle and Jen are allergic to Scotch. So I get to drink this whole one all by myself. If they don't like break out in hives or anything, they get fighty. When they drink Scotch, I think both of them have a little Viking blood in them. The Vikings helped the Scottish start making liquor first. So I think that it just enlivens something in them to really make them into wild animals when they drink Scotch. So they're not allowed to have it anymore. Otherwise, they will both come out with black eyes, and it's no good. Yeah, whiskey is so, yeah, it's absolutely, whiskey is a huge category of spirits, even though it's difficult to make whiskey, you know, taking a grain and getting enough of the sugar out of the grain in order to get all those flavors. It still is a pretty wide variety of how you can make it. So yeah, bourbon, very different from Scotch, very different from Irish, very different from Canadian. You can sort of tell all the differences between all those. Kind of crazy. Okay, there we go. Now, we want to make another cocktail because it's a Saturday show. So I wanted to find a pretty classic cocktail. So I went back to very, very early cocktails. And what do those include? They include things like lime, sugar, and booze. So what do we know that has lime, sugar, and booze? Well, the daiquiri, obviously, but let's go back a little further. Let's change it up a little bit. Let's get into a tea punch. Tea punch is a fabulous cocktail. Comes from the Caribbean. Tea, the TI part of the tea punch, comes from petite. It's a petite punch. Punches are 5 ingredients: 1 of sour, 2 of sweet, 3 of strong, 4 of weak, a little spice, make it all nice. Petite punches take out some of that stuff, and so they make them small little punches, or this one that you can serve one at a time. That's what the tea punch is. So we're going to be making a tea punch, but we're going to then make it a little bigger by bittering it or by gingering it. So that'll become Wild Kyle. Yes, we can't have Wild Kyle running around here with the Scotch. So we're not going to do that. Not tonight, at least. I will tell you a fun little fact about my wife and I. Next to my bed, next to my side of the bed, I have a baseball bat. You know, just in case anything wild happens. I keep a baseball bat just sort of hidden over there, just, you know, whatever. Underneath my wife's side of the bed is a bottle of Scotch. I always think that that's funny that she keeps a bottle of Scotch. If anything ever went down in the middle of the night, the first thing my wife and I would reach for the baseball bat, and I would go out there and I would absolutely lose a fight, I'm sure, with a baseball bat. My wife instead would chug Scotch, and then hopefully her eyes would turn red, she would go Super Saiyan style, and she would win the fight. Listen, there's a few reasons you marry somebody. That's one of the reasons that you marry somebody. They keep Scotch under their bed in case there is a break-in and they need, like Popeye to spinach, my wife to Scotch is exactly that. So that's what we do. Okay, we're gonna be building this one in glass. The petite punch has a particular way of being built, so we're going to build it in that particular way. This right here is our lime. We don't carry a lot of limes in this bar anymore since the invention of pseudo juice, but for this one, it's incredibly important. The petite punch is incredibly important. It's part of the garnish and the whole thing. So we're going to slice this one in half, not how we normally would slice a lime, this is not from our tree, so it has a sticker on it. Then we're going to quarter it. Right here. So we have these little quarters, and then are these big and are these small enough? No, these are not small enough. So we're going to go ahead and eighth them as well. So we just want small little pieces of lime right here. So we're going to eighth them. And there we have it. We have our lime cut into teeny tiny little pieces. For a normal size lime, you want about 3 pieces of lime going into your drink. For this one, we're going to go 4 since we eighth them. So we got about half that lime, maybe a 5th one in there. Nah, 4. Then, and now I can and now I can also call Kyle for backup. We are ready. Yeah, Kyle we'll get Kyle his own little bottle of emergency Scotch, just in case anything happens. Because Kyle, for those of you who don't know, Kyle does still live at the house. I told him that COVID is over. He can take off that whole getup that he always wears. But he said, you know, I like it. But he's not going to change. And also told him, you know, you're a grown man at this point. Maybe it's time you find your own apartment. And he immediately starts crying. So we're going to continue to let Kyle stay at the house. He will continue to tend to the orange trees and all the other stuff. Oh, and his raccoon friend, Kylie. I don't know if everybody remembers Kylie. Kyle has a little raccoon friend that comes by named Kylie. Awfully sweet, the little relationship they have. And maybe a little burgeoning relationship between Kyle and a praying mantis. They seem to be getting along famously so far. All right, same situation here. We want to give this nice big chunks there. And we're going to throw this right into there. We're also going to throw some sugar in this way. You can throw in syrup sugar if you want. I think it's better to throw in just some either raw sugar or something that has a little bit of the sugar flavor still in it. That's what we're looking for here, and that's what we got. So this is the beginnings of our tea punch. We're gonna bring our muddler back in here. We will know that we are done when most of that sugar has been absorbed by all of these flavors. So we're just gonna get in here. We're gonna squeeze this a little. We cut slightly larger pieces of ginger here, so we're a little less afraid of them getting into little pieces and getting into our drink, into our mouth. That is not what we're worried about. So a nice muddling there. I can hear some of them cracking as they go. Go here. Oh, that's not a good angle. There we go. We'll just keep going right there. Two things that this is doing. For the lime, obviously, when you squeeze it like that, you can just squeeze the limes and throw them in there. That's one way to do it. But we are getting a lot of that lime juice out of it. But we are also expressing all of those oils. There's a reason that a tea punch has an incredibly specific flavor to it with the lime. We do it a lot here at the bar where we throw the lime into the shaken drink. But especially for this, we are getting a lot of the lime flavors coming out of there. So that's what we want. Okay, a lot of that sugar has now disappeared into this mush that we have made. There we go. Just gonna check on something real quick. Oh, good. Still 30-17. Oh, 30-17. That's not great. Oh my goodness. My throat. Oh, 33-17. Phew. We're doing better. Okay. One of my favorites types of tea punch, and the ones that I always go for are the Martinique ones. If you have an aged Martinique, that'll work just fine here too. I'm going to be using the Clement. Clement is a Martinique agricole style of rum. We're going to go ahead and put it. Oh yes. In the meanwhile, you can muddle that subscribe button. If you are able to speak in the chat, you are already subscribed. But if you haven't liked the show yet, go ahead and like. Yeah, muddle that like button. We're gonna go ahead and put in 2.5 ounces of some Martinique rum. Nice and thick there. Martinique rum has, we talk about it all the time on the show, but you know, I'll talk about it again. It has a really nice grassy flavor. That's what we're looking for. That's that. Let's give it a little stir. Get all of that sugar, all of that ginger. Oh, hey, it's me. All that sugar, all that ginger wrapped into here. This is more or less a very labor-intensive style of daiquiri, but it is a different style of cocktail because we are muddling all that in there. Let's go ahead and throw the last piece of ice in here, and then guess what I get to do tonight? Make more ice. 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 This is a round piece. Round pieces will melt slower. Round pieces melt slower than square pieces. They have less surface area, so they will melt a little slower. Plus, it looks like a little nipple. Boop. Oh, let's put it like that. Yeah, look at that. Kind of fun to throw in your drink. I'm going to throw this right in there. Give it one more stir there. Oh, there's the cracking. That's what I was looking for. And there we go. We have a ginger tea punch. What we have, yes, hashtag Ice Night is now trending all over Twitter. What we have here is a petite punch. because it is a sours used to be just called petite punches or small punches or lesser punches, because we took out some of that bittering agents, and we weren't so it wasn't so important that we put in so much of a watering agent, the 4 of wheat. We would put a little ice in there and throw them out there. It didn't follow the same specifications. Now, yeah, this has become kind of a racy show, huh, Kyle? Or sorry, huh, Jen? Sorry, they were right next to each other. This has become quite a racy show, Jen. Okay, let's give that one more stir there. What we've done is just sort of bittered a daiquiri again, or a bittered a tea punch. See how we did. Stir it a little bit. We do, because the large ice cube is melting a little slower than the other ones. We are running into a bit of a hot cocktail situation. We don't have, it feels like it's a little warm on here because it is, we didn't get a lot of melting going on. There we go. But there it is. Cheers to you guys. Let's see how we did again. Way better. Petite punch. I don't know what we learned today. I know that we have Ringo now, our bug, that I will introduce to you guys on the show as we go. We're already getting a little bit of, well, maybe not. I guess that was helping it. Over the week, we should start to see this start to cloud up. That means that it is working. So that's what we want. It should start to really, really smell like ginger there in just a little bit. We're going to feed it again tomorrow with about 2/3 of how much ginger we put in today and how much sugar we put in today. And that should continue the ginger bug Ringo going. And from there, we should be in a good spot. That's what I have for you guys. We will be back here on Monday. We will not have a show on Tuesday. We will have a show on Thursday. So next week is going to be Monday, Thursday, and then Saturday, with everything having gone right, we will be able to start making ginger bug type sodas. Then we can get into our highballs. We're coming into spring. I feel like spring is a great time for highballs. So that's what we got. Hopefully you guys were able to make some ginger bug along with me. In the meanwhile, let me remind you guys that, well, these classes will always remain free, but if you can't help out, we got a Patreon, we have a PayPal, and we have a Venmo. Any of those help keep the bar alive. We do not make, this bar does not turn a profit. So anything you guys can send is keeping the bar alive. If you can't, yes. Oh, what do we got? Fall. Whatever. Spring and fall are basically the same thing. Don't somebody fight me on that. If you can't do that, tell your friends about it. The more people that we get in here, the more likely that it is that this show is seen by more people. That's just math. That's just how that works. So join there. And if you can't do any of that, remember to show up to class. We do classes here for the most part. We try and do them Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. If you can't make it those days, they stay online for forever. But it's so much nicer to have you guys. Oh yeah, spring doesn't have football. That's true. That is the only difference between spring and fall, is that spring doesn't have football. So spring is worse than fall. Yeah, so we try to do classes Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Sometimes we change them. This next week we're doing Monday, we are doing Thursday, and we are doing Saturday. So join us here at Dr. Cush's Exotic Drinks. If you want a place where you can go chat with other cocktail people about your ginger bug, or my ginger bug, you want to talk about Ringo behind his back, that's great. You have theories about Kyle and the praying mantis, I would say that's a great place to talk about it, is Facebook.com and look for Dr. Cush's Exotic After Hours. Thank you guys so much for joining me tonight, and we'll be back here on Saturday to hang out again. Oh, the Greens are here. Hello, Greens. They just made it in time for me to say, like we always do, are you Dr. Jinga Janga? Oh, this one. Are you? Oh, and also, bye. I was doing all kinds of garbage before, so I couldn't get the thing going. And then I wanted to answer this. My team, Forlorn Hope, is I love the Arizona Cardinals. They break my heart. They don't like me. The Arizona Cardinals do not care for me or any of their fans. And also the Trojans. And I'm going to go back and watch the end of this Boilermakers game. Until then, what do we always say? We always say, are you Dr. Ginger Jagga? And bye-bye.